Why did I pursue the pathway? I guess first of all I would say that it's God's plan. I feel that I've been reeled in, having first considered ordination, the route to ordination, probably 35 or 40 years ago. And over the last few years it's become increasingly clear that that's what God was calling me to. And then it was a question of where do I study, where do I train, once I'd gone through the discernment process, because I'm still working full-time. I'm Chief Exec of a housing association, very much as my board said when I took the whole proposition through. They said, as long as you remember that 24/7, 365, you're our Chief Executive, and that will always have to be the priority. So it was then looking for a route to study that sort of worked with that. I was very keen to feel part of a cohort, but I also recognised the ability to do some classes online was really, really useful. So how I've worked since then is I have Zoom classes on Thursdays, Saturdays in Lincoln, and long weekends in effect in Mirfield, and it's worked really, really effectively. I won't say that time management hasn't been an issue, because it has been an issue, but actually it's a very supportive environment, very encouraging environment, and I feel like I'm being equipped for the challenges ahead. I chose St Hild primarily because I felt very clearly that's where God wanted me to be. And it was an interesting one because actually I'm coming from Norwich Diocese, and there wasn't a relationship between St Hild and Norwich Diocese, but I felt very clearly last year that actually it was St Hild that God was suggesting I should go to. And then when I sat down with Sarah and Wills and Daniel and heard about how that training could take place in a sort of hybrid manner of weekends, Thursdays, Saturdays, it just all fell into place as the right approach. And I think also throw into this, because obviously doing a one-year pathway, you only get a restricted number of modules to choose from. The fact that there was a module about rural ministry and mission was extremely important to me, because that's my context and that's where I expect to serve the rest of my ministry days. I think support comes in many ways. A very supportive core tutor, very supportive and cohesive prayer group, and I think that's really something to value, the fact that you've got other people who are on the journey, different places on the journey to a certain extent, although we're all ending up being ordained at the same time. That prayerful support, an active WhatsApp group so we know what's going on in our lives. It's not just we talk to each other when we happen to be in Lincoln or Mirfield or in a class on Zoom, but actually the relationships have been created. And I think that's one of the great things about St Hild, that I can see not just my experience but other people's experience, that actually it's all about relationships. So you're learning within a relationships a culture, a supportive culture that really encourages and enables. And of course you have dips over the journey, and actually having those people to support you is amazingly enabling. Perspectives, I mean, I think my first bit of advice is really pray about where you should be going, because I am absolutely sure that God has a plan, and God has a plan for you. So it's not just a case of looking at what modules might be delivered and where it is and how it's going to be delivered, but actually having that certainty that it's the place that God wants you to go to. I was encouraged by my diocese to look at other colleges, and I felt very firmly each time that God was saying this isn't the right place for you. So actually do it from a prayerful way. Select your college in a prayerful way, so that you know you're going where God's already planned for you to be.